I'm here with William Barton, who's over here visiting from Brisbane, Australia. And, well, I guess let's introduce the man. I've known William since 2007, so that'd be 4 years now. Why don't you tell him a little bit about when you started playing Didge, how you were brought up with it, and
Well, I grew up in a place called Mount Isa, about a 2-hour plane flight northwest of Brisbane, about 1,500 miles or so. And I really got into the didgeridoo because of the storytelling behind the instrument and my Uncle Arthur Peterson. And it was very special for me to learn the instrument at a young age and to continue on the tradition of learning the instrument, because it's been around for many thousands of years amongst my ancestors and so on. And then I guess growing up in this modern day and age, you know, had all these other mixed influences of various styles of music, from the Mount Isa Folk Club, rock, heavy metal, folk music, world music, and then particularly classical, which is what I specialise in. And I, travel around a bit doing that sort of stuff. Been doing that for about 12 years now. I've worked with some of the world's most famous orchestras, the Berlin Philharmonic, writing for 4 of their musicians, and also worked in London at the London Philharmonic and Carnegie Hall in New York City with the Adelaide Symphony. So it's a great thrill to be able to work in that capacity. But it doesn't happen overnight. You got to go out and, I guess, promote the fact that there is a life for the didgeridoo in a very classical environment. To be able to work with a 90-piece to 120-piece orchestra, or even a simple string quartet, even, because the style is, or the concept is quite different. From just straight didgeridoo playing or straight jamming with a band in some ways, because you're dealing with notated music, and you're dealing with a conductor to conduct the music and so on. But over the last sort of several years, I've been working with some of our great Australian composers such as Peter Sculthorpe and Ross Edwards and Matthew Heinsohn and Lisa Lim, who've all written works for me to premiere with the didgeridoo and orchestra and string quartet pieces as well. But also I've developed my own compositional style for writing for orchestra as well. So yeah.
cool. And how about your relationship with Peter Sculthorpe in the beginning? Didn't he kind of help you get your feet on the ground with classical music composing and stuff like that?
Yeah, I first met Peter Sculthorpe through his music in 2001, the Australian Festival of Chamber Music, and working with the Golden String Quartet. And it was really quite magical, the performance, because I could really understand what he was saying through the music, writing about the Australian landscape and so on. I had previously worked with an orchestra and another composer, Philip Buchanan, previous to that in 1997. That was my first solo concert with a symphony, and so it was from that point on that I made the extra exerted effort to work with orchestras and to create a sustainable future for the instrument, rather than just be a token instrument and be in the background, or just 1 or 2 performances and that was it. So I've made a career out of what I'm passionate about. But after all that, having toured the world and played some of the great concert halls around the world and so on, it's just, as much as I like that, it's also great to be out in the middle of the bush and to be able to play this great instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing. I traveled around for about 3 months with him, and beyond just writing music for Didge being in symphony, he's writing full sheet music for orchestras that don't have Didge at all. and he's constantly traveling around. And we'd be in a train in the middle of nowhere, and he's on his computer writing a full, symphony sheet music. How do you think Didge has influenced your writing for like overall orchestra pieces without it?
You mean writing? Sorry, what was the question?
Just kind of coming from like Didge as your primary or your roots instrument. How do you think that's influenced you as writing like classical music?
Yep.
Without it.
Basically, the influences that are there because of the rhythmic nature of the instrument, and also the long sustained pedal notes, and so that's why I enjoy listening to some European classical music. So in one sense, my classical writing, like Western classical writing in the form of notation, is I can say that I'm influenced and inspired by European classical music because of that fact of some of the composers where you can basically stick a didgeridoo with some of this music, and it's like it's already been written for the didgeridoo because of the long sustained pedal notes, particularly some church type music, and medieval music and so on from the Bach period, where it's not too chordal and not too many changes in key tonality, where you can just stick on the one didgeridoo. There's been instances where I've played the didgeridoo for, an orchestra piece where it might be a 40-minute orchestra work, or even a 2-hour sustained orchestra work, where I'll have to have like 4 or 5 didgeridoos on stage.
Oh wow. Yeah. Awesome.
And and adding to that, like my mum used to play classical music to me before I was born as well. So my mum was a huge musical influence in my life as well. And my dad, he played guitar, like rhythm and blues style. Yeah. So music had always been around from many forms.
Is that how you picked up guitar originally?
Yeah.
Your dad?
Like the guitar was just lying around, and like your dad would play it, and then I got more interested as a young teenager, listening to my various music styles, like, AC/DC and stuff, where I got heavily influenced by that style of music, like sort of bluesy rock. And then the European classical form, like neoclassicalism, where, wanting to learn how to play guitar and be a speed picker, and play like classical, in the classical sort of style, as some rock guitarists do, like Stevie Vai and Yngwie Malmsteen,
Nice. And so
that's a wrap.
Do you want to talk at all about what you're doing, like with the Didge Fusion stuff? Like what you're planning on doing, like the solo stuff with the Didge Fusion?
No.
No.
No, yeah. Basically, as the passion has always been there in the background with the guitar and the alternative side of music, in recent times and recent years, I've been developing the fusion of the guitar and the didgeridoo together, playing them together, and it's been done before, but I remember playing guitar and didgeridoo together at the same time when I was like 15 years old. But it's just now, because of my because I'm more experienced now as a musician and so on, in my musicality and influences and music structure in my brain, it's a lot of fun to just rediscover, playing the guitar again and get down and put in 8 hours practice a day and really develop that and fuse the two together, of some of my musical influences on the guitar coming out, and then combining that with the didgeridoo. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to do, and I'm in a position to be able to do that now, and do the odd sort of stadium gig, like for football games, or when I was in India, I played in Delhi, played at the stadium for World Cup hockey, men's team. Yeah, so it's all good.
Cool.